Try and find. Hey guys, I am so sorry. Kayleen and I are trying to co-host it, and Zoom is being really weird about letting us co-host it. So she's got to try and every time she tries to get in, it kicks me out, and every time I try to get back in, it kicks her out. So, um, let me send her the link. Sorry, guys. Normally, I kind of know what I'm doing, but this is a little bit tricky. Okay, so add invites, copy to clipboard. Thanks for being patient, guys. Okay. All right, hopefully this is gonna work. That's a bummer though that we can't co-host it. If anybody knows how to work Zoom, let us know. Hi, 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 hi. Okay, so we're just going to keep letting people in. This might take a second. Okay, we have a huge turnout, which I was not expecting. Once she joins, you might be able to add her as co-host. Okay.
Yay!
That's what we're. Hi, Kayleen. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I need to ask you guys to go ahead and mute yourselves. Okay, I'm gonna mute all and then I'm gonna unmute you, Kayleen, if I can.
I can unmute myself.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Can you also do screen share on, well, I guess you don't need to do screen share on your side, but I think this should work just fine if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be fine.
Perfect. Okay, so um,
I just
welcome, welcome. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If everybody will mute themselves and let's see. Let's look at the chat. Yep, okay, add her as a co-host. Let me see if I can actually do that. Wow, okay, we have such a good turnout. This is so
we do.
exciting. Okay. You know what? I cannot make you a co-host, but I don't think it matters. Um, but I am going to try to pin us both for the time being. What do you think about that? No, that didn't fix my problem. I was trying to make it so that the only people we could see were us. But now we'll just go back to speaker view. Okay. So everybody's muted. Good, good, good. I'm just going to pop this in the chat so that people coming in late see it. Everyone, please mute as you arrive. Thank you. We will be taking questions in the chat. So if you have them, go ahead and drop them as we're going. We may not be able to answer them as we're going. We will do a little Q&A at the end. And the only thing is, once I start sharing my screen, I don't know that I'll be able to see people coming in and out. And for whatever reason, it's not letting people in automatically, even though I'm pretty sure I did make that setting.
Of course.
Whatever. Okay. Um, why don't we go ahead and get started? I did ask you guys, it won't be in this recording, but I did ask everybody where they're from. We have people from all over the place. I did see mostly US based people in here today, but if you're from another country, I know we have Leanne in Jamaica. Who else? We have, how do you, Tarjani? Tarjani is in India. Very cool. Is there a big muscle testing crowd in India?
Ooh, Scotland.
Yeah, how cool. SQ. Very cool. Okay. London. Sonia, how are you? I feel like we haven't talked in forever. Okay. I could just chit chat all day, but let's get down to it, okay? Um, where is what I'm trying to share?
While you're sharing that, let's just do a quick poll in the chat. Who here is here for if you're a practitioner and you want to learn more accurate muscle testing for your practice? And who here is more wanting to learn how to do self muscle testing on themselves or their family? Okay, cool. Self, both, both. Oh, good. Good. There's like a big, it's probably 50-50. Cool.
Okay, that's awesome. I know a bit of muscle testing, very basic, yes, no, wanting to learn more. Oh, you're in the right place.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. It looks
In
like
your
I can share my screen now. Okay, here we go. So you're going to be hearing from both of us today. Um, and I'm not sure, I guess you could probably see us as we're talking. Um, I wish I could. There we go. Okay. I don't know if you guys can still see me, but I think this is better if I don't see myself. Okay. So I can't see you guys, just so you know. So if you actually need to raise a hand, hit the little like hand button. And if you have a question, put it in the chat. Um, if something crazy is happening, Kayleen will let me know. Okay.
Yes, you'll get an email of the session after the fact in case you have to leave early. So yes, you'll get the recording. Okay, doke. Welcome, you guys. I'm so excited to be here. We have been working on this for a very, very long time. It's been a long time in the making, but we're finally here in this free training for 3 secrets to accurate muscle testing. We thought long and hard about adding self muscle testing to that title, but it's long. So it's self muscle testing, proxy muscle testing, distance muscle testing, all the things. Um, so let's get started.
All right, okay. I think we have I think I will be able to let people in as we go. All right, so is this you? Are you a nurse coach, an intuitive healer, or an integrative health practitioner? Let us know in the chat specifically what you are, what you're aspiring to be. Maybe if you don't even really know for sure, that's okay too. Have you used kinesiology or something like Reiki, emotion code, body code, nutrition response testing? Um, do you find one-on-one rewarding, those of you who already are practicing? But is it also kind of hard on your nervous system at the same time? Do you feel like you should be able to get your clients more dramatic results? And I know that everybody here is talented and intuitive, and you probably, if you do have clients, you probably are getting them results. But like, really think, are they as dramatic as you feel like they should be? Is there like this little voice in the back of your head that's like, I really put a lot of work into that. I thought that was going to be a bigger deal. And do your clients often say things like, I haven't been great about following the protocol. I haven't been great about taking the herbs or, whatever it is. Do you feel like maybe you hear some of that on a regular basis? And have you been wondering, why do I feel like I can't fully trust my muscle testing answers? If you're here, I feel like you probably have been wondering that. And like I said, like you're a badass, you know it. But you probably see other people post case studies sometimes and think like, why don't I have anything that impressive to share? Like, have you ever just seen somebody share a testimonial or a case study and you're like, I know I'm getting my clients results. I know I'm doing good work. Like, why can't, like, I want something like that to share. You're showing up, you're working your magic, but sometimes you just get stumped or your clients are just too stuck to really do their part because it's a two-way street. Like you could be doing everything right and still dealing with people who are stuck, which is very common, especially in this sort of holistic healing nervous system, related niche. Have you been wondering, how do you charge more for one-on-one? So I actually feel compensated for the energy exchange. You see health coaches like Dave Asprey's health coach charges like 30 to 50K for 6 months. And you wonder what they have that you don't. And if you could just charge what your time is actually worth, you would instantly feel more aligned in your career as a healer. And have you been wondering, will learning more give me more success? There's a lot of different things that you could choose to learn. And they're all going to add something to your toolkit and to your success. However, you've probably already gotten a few certifications and credentials and realized that there wasn't necessarily a return on your investment. On a subconscious level, I think you know that what you really want, need, and crave is to find the missing piece, not more information that's just making it harder to implement what you already know. So imagine if you trust your muscle testing enough to show up to your client calls without anxiety, feeling 100% prepared to find the root cause of their number one most annoying symptom in less than 1.5 hours. No calls that run 3 hours long because you're going over pages and pages and pages of complaints that, they've never been able to get any answers on. What if you give them a measurable shift within days, not months, and not years? Like, wouldn't that feel easy? Like, wouldn't that be nice? Imagine if you're sitting by the fire pit roasting marshmallows with your family. Over here in, North America, it's winter now. It's time to wind it down, spend time with your loved ones. What if you're spending time with your loved ones and a respected colleague with more credentials and more experience than you reaches out and asks how soon they can start working one-on-one with you? And they have no problem paying 2K, 3K, or even more a month with a 6 month minimum commitment. Does that sound like a dream, or is this already your reality? Because I'll tell you, like a few years ago, this would have sounded like crazy talk, but like, yeah, I would love that. That would be awesome. And imagine if every time you get off a call with a one-on-one client, you think, did I actually just figure out what no other practitioner could for the past 10 years? And they actually follow your recommendations and get a major symptom breakthrough. So they recommend you to everyone they talk to, all of their friends and family. They're posting their progress on their Instagram, on their stories, and you're not even asking them to do that. They're just voluntarily doing your marketing for you so that you spend less time trying to figure out how to market yourself and more time just doing what you do? So here's my story. You guys, some of you know me for sure, but some of you may not. After healing myself from mold illness, I started using remote muscle testing in my health coaching private practice back in 2018. So a little bit more detail on that. It wasn't just mold illness, it was a lot of different things. Uh, Honestly, like you name it, I dealt with it. But mold illness was the thing that like really catalyzed me learning how to muscle test. And I never really muscle tested on other people, at least not in person. I first learned how to muscle test on myself. And then I started proxy testing for other people. And when I started proxy testing for other people, it was mostly like former classmates and colleagues and just like a few people that I met on the internet here or there. Um, But a lot of times these would be people with like more qualifications than me, women who had, PhDs or, some other credential in the medical field. And they had seen me do something that they couldn't do for themselves, something that's outside of, a degree or a credential. And I was getting them results that were so good they were sending their moms and their sisters and their friends to me as well. So I really, before I even knew how to market myself, I had a word of mouth referral business just because of how I was muscle testing them remotely. I'm Elizabeth Clark. I'm a former clinical dietitian, former diagnostics R&D lab director, as well as a 7 times published biomedical researcher. And that part is important for what you're going to learn today because it really has shaped the way that we've approached developing discernment framework. Because a lot of muscle testers and practitioners who teach muscle testing are practitioners only, or they may have even helped develop diagnostic tests, but they haven't actually done the validation process itself. And that's part of the confusion about muscle testing is that the people teaching it, whether you're paying to learn it from them or you're learning it from YouTube or Instagram or whatever, 99.9, probably everyone else except for us, percent of the people teaching it don't really understand the things that you the metrics that you need to measure accuracy against in order to really be able to teach you how to accurately muscle test. You might have a gift and you might be very intuitive, and that has gotten you this far, but we have the metrics. So we actually know how to make it accurate and how to teach it so that you also can replicate it accurately. So I co-developed Discernment Framework with Kayleen Tinker, and it's the world's first advanced self, distance, and proxy muscle testing methodology that's been made specifically for women by women. And we might call it remote testing, we might call it self testing, we might call it proxy testing. It's all the same thing. We're not testing on other people's arms or bodies at all directly. We're testing what they need through our own bodies. It's kind of like clinical intuition, and that's probably the best way to think about it. So let's take it back to 2019. I don't know. Let me know in the chat who was around back in 2019. Um, Even though I was getting good client feedback, there were still clients where the needle never moved, and I had no idea why. I poured more and more and more into them to try and get a result for them, but there was still no real outcome. And you can see here, like I had some feedback forms. People would say things like, "Oh, you're so knowledgeable. This has helped me tremendously. I feel like I'm making progress. It's both easy and profound." Like this is great, but this is not going to make someone pay you 20K for 6 months of one-on-one coaching. This is not going to get you paid $800 an hour. Like these are good, but they're not the kind of results that actually move the needle for people. Like we need specific, measurable, like exciting results. So let me know if this feels familiar in the chat. If you're like, yeah, I do get people results, but yeah, like what, and then what? Like it should be, it just should feel bigger. I had a ton of content. I was posting on Instagram like 3 times a day. I had a big course called the Self Healer Program where I taught people how to self muscle test and do all this biohacking stuff that like you self muscle tested the type of biohacking thing and amount and duration, all of that. And I even had like this whole like way of eating, this like dietary plan, and it was called Body Harmony Eating, which involved muscle testing. And I had a baking blog where I made grain-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free dessert recipes. But after all of that energy and time and knowledge, I was still having to borrow money from my parents to pay the rent. I was still like an aspiring healer in everyone's eyes, including my own, because it wasn't clicking. Like something wasn't like it just wasn't as big as I felt like it could be. And a lot of my clients were just really hard on my nervous system because I didn't have like a really good structure, like a process map, kind of like a set of boundaries on like, this is what I'm going to do to get them results. And I do not need to do all of this other stuff. I do not need to give them 20,000 like email replies in a 7 day period. Like, that's not helpful. So I actually ended up closing my business for 1.5 years. I went back into diagnostics, but full time instead of consulting. So when I reopened, I actually had gotten the opportunity to study with my dream mentor. He didn't teach self muscle testing, but he did teach an advanced form of muscle testing. It just required a medical assistant and it had to be done in person. And there weren't really like any process map types of things. So to get everyone had a lot of questions. Everyone was struggling to learn. Everyone had a lot of questions. You had to sit through these long Q&As that like they had to do like three every week because they couldn't even get to all the questions. It was awesome, but I knew like I need to just further develop what I'm doing if I want to be able to use this information. So I took some of the foundational sort of like New Guard scientific principles that he was teaching about like the light field, biophoton physics, and this type of thing. And then I applied it to self muscle testing as I knew it, which was the sway method. And then I validated it for accuracy the same way that I used to validate diagnostic tests in the lab, which again, this is a key important thing to remember. And then once I started showing the internet what I was doing, and how it was helping my clients, I gained 90,000 followers within like probably a 6 month period. I got millions of views on my videos, and I started charging 1K a month for one-on-one, which seemed huge at the time. This was back in like 2022. And then I started charging 2.5K and then 3.5K, and who knows what it'll be, a month from now, but it's all about the process that we've developed.
And I'm Kayleen. Many of you now know me online. If you don't, I'm about to tell you my story, but mine's a little bit different than Elizabeth's. She's kind of been in the health world for a long time, and I started self muscle testing because I wanted to heal my unexplained infertility. That was like my main goal. And I can tell you that I've done that because I am pregnant right now. You'll probably have to see me take water breaks because I have like no air in my lungs right now for talking a lot. But I just wanted to learn how to self muscle test for myself and my family. And at the time, my daughter was barely talking. And you know, when you have kids and they're sick and you're just like, I don't know what to do to help you. I just like want to know exactly what you need. Like that was my goal, was to help my daughter get over whatever sickness she was going through. Um, so I definitely did not intend to do this as a career at all. But once I started to learn it and I started to practice on my friends and family, I was getting people results that I was like, honestly, kind of dumbfounded. I was like, holy shit, like this is the real deal. And I knew it was the real deal, but you can go to the next slide. Um, but prior to all of that, I was the marketing director for a very large multi state electrical company. Um, so I was very much not in the health world at all. Like my trajectory was to be in corporate America doing marketing. Um, but my family and I moved from the Seattle area to Idaho, and I decided to make a major shift in my career. And I decided that I was going to learn how to do everything I could with self muscle testing and start implementing it in more of like a coaching business. Um, I had been in the biohacking world for a really long time online. Like that's where Elizabeth and I met. We met online as like the only girl biohackers at the time. I mean, there were like very few of us that were like girl biohackers. Um, and she actually did a medical astrology reading for me um, around my infertility. And that's kind of how we became friends. And then years later, I hired her to help me learn how to self muscle test. Um, and so I always kind of thought that if I was going to go into the health-ish world, it would be in biohacking. But it took a shift to self-muscle testing, which I actually think is like the biggest and best biohack you could ever get on the planet. And I still love biohacking. I love my quantum energy, my red lights, all the things. In fact, my husband and I now own a biohacking facility. The CEO is Dave Asprey, if you ever heard of him. But anyway, we own a biohacking lab. I don't work in it, but my husband owns it, and I do the self muscle testing now. So you can keep going. Yep. Um, so when I found out that muscle testing was going to be like a big part of my life, um, I had an advanced self muscle tester who had trained with the same person that Elizabeth and I trained with. Um, and she was able to pinpoint my infertility in 5 minutes. I had been to, I can't tell you how many doctors, I can't tell you how many lab tests I ran. I did anything and everything under the sun from functional medicine standpoint to figure out my unexplained infertility, and nothing did it. Um, and this muscle tester figured it out in like 5 minutes. So I went from um, having no idea what to do to having a very succinct game plan where we found Lyme in my body, a million different pathogens. I can't tell you how many parasites I had, but I was able to heal all of that in a year. Like healing Lyme in a year is pretty remarkable. Like you don't hear that from a lot of people. Most people have Lyme for life or decades. So I knew this was the real deal and I wanted to do it, but I kind of thought that I didn't have any health background. So I went and got a certification to do integrative health practitioner, IHP. And I did that. And you learn how to do all the labs and you learn how to have client coaching calls. But for me, everything was so like blanket advice, and I was making people pay, tons of money for all these lab tests, and then you have to sort through a million different files of all their labs and try to figure out like, okay, well, where do I start? There's all these problems. Where do I start? And so I kind of thought that that was not the path for me. Like I needed to go back to majority muscle testing. So I learned how to do it through Elizabeth. I then learned from the same mentor she had. And then I learned from others that quite honestly, nobody even can even have access to these days because they're not taking additional clients. But I learned from as many different people as I possibly could, and I started implementing this into one-on-one sessions for my clients. I was originally doing it for free for my friends and family. That burnt me out like crazy because I realized that I was spending too much time like on these on my clients, but I wasn't getting compensated for it. And I truly was like, I don't even know if I can get compensated for this. Like I was scared to charge money. Um, but anyway, you can go to the next slide. I got over my fears with some mere magic work and some esoteric herbs and things we'll talk about. But I mapped out a process for 6 month clients. And it was pretty much the same process that I went through, and the same process that we're going to teach you guys. But I did one live call or one live Instagram, sorry, and I received two clients paying $11,000 for 6 months of work within 24 hours. um, I did not put a lot of effort into it. I was just like, you know what? if people want my help, like this is what it's going to cost that's worth my time and my energy. And those clients all had some pretty major breakthroughs, like either pretty right off the bat or within 4 months. Um, and they were all just happy to share their experiences with their online crowd. And now I have a wait list to work with me. Um, at minimum, my sessions, if you work with me one-on-one, at minimum, it's $800 a session, which will go up in 2026. Um, but I don't even have funnels. I don't have programs. I have like one email that I send out, and it's just because I'm able to get results that people want to work with me. So it's pretty cool.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I just realized I can move this bubble. All right. So, 7 years later, which is now, our client list, our follower count, our skill, our one-on-one prices have all compounded in growth and refinement. And we get even better client results while also finally feeling well compensated for it. Even as projectors, we're both projectors, slightly different ones, but still. Let us know in the chat if you're into human design or astrology, if you know what you are. Um, Shout out to fellow projectors out there. And we have replicated this system for other coaches who have been able to also double their prices and their client list. And it's because of this fast and transformative results driven methodology that they're able to use without having any of the doubt or, getting their energy drained the way that I know you guys know what I'm talking about when I say energy drained. And we're obsessed with muscle testing, if you can't tell. And like Kayleen said, we met online through the biohacking community long before it was mainstream, probably like 2017 or 2018. Like it's been a long time. And now, as toddler moms, we've spent years learning and refining our self muscle testing and our proxy muscle testing with renowned mentors in person, online. And we honestly can't understand how anyone wouldn't be obsessed, like we are, with getting the answers without lab tests and, months and months and months of trial and error. And then, being able to find everybody's bio individual solution. Like, that's the future, right? Like, 5 years ago, we were saying personalized medicine is the future and, talking about getting genetic testing done. Like, no, we're over here in like 2030 already. Okay. So, how did we both go from feeling overwhelmed by clients and having this resentment because we're undercharging and not really having clear processes that worked 100% of the time to only taking high level one-on-one clients that we admire and having easy multiple five-figure days from doing one-on-one and creating like legacy worthy impact with our results. Like, I feel like every time, like, this is just so repeatable, like it's not just like me being like lucky and having people, follow my Instagram back in like 2023. No, like we can repeat this process. We've done it with Discernment Framework account and we've done it with other practitioners. Like it really is something that um it like people never get tired of seeing us do what we do and they want to see more of it. Okay, so here's the three secrets that you're going to learn today. You're going to learn about our advanced methodology. So, some of the things we do that make muscle testing more accurate in terms of like the technique. And then you're also going to learn about specialization and why this is so important for accurate muscle testing. Something that lacks in the other things that, or the other places, the other methodologies where you can learn muscle testing. And you're going to learn about process maps. And process maps are also just this huge key factor in accurate muscle testing. And it's probably the number one thing that we hear outside of like, I can't feel my sway, or how do I know if my own bias is, giving me the answer. Probably the next most common thing we hear is like, I don't know what question to ask, or what to test, or what to do next. And it is a process. It is a process. We have if this, then that style processes, but we also give our practitioners support because it takes a while. It takes a while to really get it and feel like you understand it. Okay, so secret number one, mind-blowing case studies from getting clients a quick, measurable, and undeniable shift in symptoms within days, not months or years. Our clients don't pay us for maybes. They don't pay us for, yeah, I'm making progress, or your method is so good. No, they pay us for the trust that they have in our advanced proxy muscle testing methodology, which is built through the case studies and the testimonials. That is just like non-negotiable. You have to have really specific and good case studies. And part of that is like people being willing to share their stories. So with what we do, more times than not, we don't have to ask people to give us feedback on how they're doing. We ask people, "Oh, can we share what you just said?" Because people are volunteering it. They're like they've never had this kind of result before. You know what I mean? Okay, secret number two. We've both studied with world-renowned advanced self-muscle testing gurus. We've also taught the practitioners that came to study with us after studying with those same gurus because they still couldn't implement what they'd learned. There was a lot of information, but they still couldn't implement. So if you know that you want to specialize in helping other women virtually, you need to learn muscle testing specific to helping other women virtually. That should make sense to everybody, but there's nobody else teaching muscle testing in that way. It's just like learn all of this stuff and then figure out the hardest part on your own. So we specialize, and that's why we specialize in women's health done virtually.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Yes.
Um, like I have before Elizabeth and I knew how to teach or how I before I knew how to teach self muscle testing, I sent several people to the same advanced self muscle testing person that we learned from, and several of them came back saying, I am so confused. I can't even get through this course. And they quit the course because they have zero idea how to implement it on, first of all, on themselves. You couldn't do it on yourself unless you kind of knew how to take the methodology and move it into a self muscle testing framework. But just even being able to comprehend what was being said was so confusing that they quit. They quit the whole program. So it is really amazing that we've created this program that is just for women, taught on yourself, and you can literally just specialize in this. You don't have to have somebody else's arm. You don't have to be in person. It's just all done from the comfort of your own home or your office or wherever you want to work.
Yes, exactly. And I will always refer people, to my mentors, but with the caveat of like, do you want to be testing people in person? And do you want to be treating complex chronic illness, people that can't really get out of the bed, that are suffering from all kinds of things that, you don't have any direct experience with? Like, if that's the case, then yes. And also, like, just be prepared. Like it's going to be a lot. Okay, so secret number three, as a muscle testing practitioner, getting your clients big results fast requires proven standardized sequences that you can use reliably with every single client. And this is such a key part of it because if you've ever been on a 3-hour call with a client, or you've ever been lying awake at night, like, oh, I should have said this, I should have tested that. Like, the drain on your energy goes so far beyond whatever you charged for that appointment. And based off of all the women that we've talked to, you probably charged $150 and spent 3 hours with them on the call, and then 3 hours after the call, second guessing yourself or thinking of other things or sending them an email or whatever. But you're overworking yourself. You're not getting them a better result. You're just overworking yourself trying to put out 1,000 tiny fires, or overanalyze too many data points that aren't actually important. And that's the beauty of what we're going to show you is that it's not necessarily about the more information you have or, like as many data points as you can possibly get from, your client. It's about like what are the important things that you need to focus on that are universal across the board. And it's kind of crazy to see like how much is actually just background noise that you're putting your attention towards, and it's making you feel overworked, essentially. Okay. So let's take a quick poll. We've already heard a little bit about this in the chat, but are you a healer and do you want to do one-on-one specifically? Or are you here to, maybe do more of like group programs or teach courses? Um, yes, this will be recorded. I'm just checking the chat now. We got some generators, manifesting generators. Lots of generators. I love that. Got a projector, a couple projectors. Yes to people feeling drained by one-on-one. Um, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Somebody says they started following me on Instagram and then you. Okay. Um, let's see. Yes, mostly pendulum, expanding beyond one-on-one as well. Okay, very cool. I'm curious. Let us know in the chat, like with the muscle testing y'all are already doing, did you learn it on like YouTube or did you learn it from a mentor? Did you do like a paid course in person, online? I'm so curious. We have a few people using the pendulum. That is so interesting. Okay, teaching beginner muscle testing, learned it from a mentor and lots of practice. Yes, heavy on the practice, right? Like the practice is really what makes perfect. Okay, mentor online. Seemed like we were all trying to figure it out together. Yes, amen to that. That's how I started, just trying to figure it out along with my students. We've come a long way. My iridologist taught me some basic tips. This is so cool. Okay, this is really good to information. Good to hear. Pendulum and learned muscle testing. Oh, muscle testing in massage school, and then with me. Yes, Danielle, my favorite student. Just kidding, we're not supposed to have favorites. Okay. Um, my naturopath used a pendulum for me, wanted to learn myself and found you. Oh, awesome. Oh my gosh. What a good group we have here. I wish I could just like hang out in the chat all day. I've tried pendulum, and that thing doesn't move. Yeah, pendulum didn't work for me. It moved, but it wasn't like controlled enough for me. I like the science like person in me is like, this feels, yeah, this feels a little bit messy. That's not to say that like you can't get accurate answers from it. It was just, I did not trust my pendulum. Okay, self-learned. Just fell into my lap and lots of practice. Love that. I was self-taught in the beginning. Yes, I practice on my horse. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Sarah, is that you, Dr. Sarah? I don't know many people that would muscle test their horse. Okay. Learned muscle testing the traditional way in kinesiology. Training program with a mentor that does advanced muscle testing. Love it. kinesiology, several mentors. I interestingly only trust my pendulum. I don't trust my body test as much. That's so funny. Okay, all right, guys, I could stay in the chat all day. I'm gonna exit out and carry on. But thank you for participating. We have such a good group today. Okay. So let's like dispel some myths and some beliefs that are probably hurting your muscle testing more than helping it. Okay, so most healers think that muscle testing is helpful, but they don't trust the results enough to really rely on it. And that's the thing is like you're gonna need to actually rely on it if you want to get your clients really big transformations. And it's the same thing with like astrology. When I give readings, I'm always like, okay, I'm about to say something crazy, but it could make the reading. And then it always is. It's always like the thing that makes the reading. It's like you really have to rely and trust in whatever it is that you're doing so much that you're able to say the thing that you're like, this doesn't even make sense. Because it's true. It just doesn't make logical sense yet. You know what I mean? Okay, so when you think that, you end up with clients who don't ever get unstuck enough to see major transformation. The truth is, it's actually way simpler than you think to, trust your answers once you do our three-step calibration and you ditch the yes or no questions. And that is one that we have to pry out of people's hands. They love their yes or no questions, and we do too. We catch ourselves all the time, at least I do, catch myself all the time asking a yes or no question and then going, wait, what was the answer? Because you really can't trust your yes or no answers as much as you need to. And when I say like you can't trust them, sure you can trust them sometimes, but you have to be able to trust things like 100% of the time. Like we need this to be like a diagnostic test level of accuracy. We're not diagnosing, but that's the level of accuracy, the standard that we need to hold it to. So the secret is advanced calibration and validation for your questions, your instrument, and your answers. So questions, we're not talking yes or no questions. We're talking um, basically asking questions with different hand configurations, different hand placements on the body, off of the body, into the light field. We like to ask the questions with our body, not just get the answers with our body. And this is where using a pendulum or, doing like the finger method where you press down on one finger like it's an arm almost like that's where that comes up short is that you're not going to be able to ask the question with those modalities. You actually have to, be standing and using all of your body to ask the questions, except for the O-ring, which is a very specific sort of modifier that we do during the perfect protocol process. But you'll learn about that at the end. The instrument is your body. So you have to calibrate and validate your body. And you also have to have a system for calibrating and validating the answers that you're getting. So the logic. So to put this in terms of like if it were a diagnostic test, what I would do in the lab at the lab bench under the hood to try and determine is this an accurate diagnostic tool or not would be I have to test all of the reagents 30 different times, 30 different specimens, all the reagents against a gold standard and see if these reagents give us the same amount of accuracy, specificity, and sensitivity as the gold standard reagents that we were using, if it exists. It doesn't always exist, but you have to test all of the reagents. The reagents you can think of in self muscle testing or proxy muscle testing as the questions, okay? Because we're not asking yes or no questions. We're putting the hand on the body in a certain way. And this is the reagent because it catalyzes the reaction. It's what gives you the result. So, like, let me know in the chat, am I blowing muscle testing wide open for you right now? Because this is so much more advanced than can I take this? Should I take that? This is scientific, okay? So the questions would be the reagents in a traditional lab test, and you would have to prove that you were using good reagents, aka asking good questions enough times on enough different specimens, enough different clients, enough different, people before you could actually know whether or not that's accurate. This is what is lacking in the vast majority of muscle testing because they're practitioners. They're not in diagnostics. The instrument, when we would validate a new instrument, let's say we just got another one of the same instrument in, some new next generation sequencer, same brand as we've always had, same model, but it's brand new. We have to go through all of these validation studies again to prove that those reagents, that these consumables, the tray that you put the specimens in, the logic on the back end of, like, what's in the computer that reads the test. We have to do all of that again on this new instrument to make sure that this instrument is good to go. This instrument is going to give us accurate answers. So when we say you need to calibrate and validate the instrument, we have a process that we go through with our body every time we want to run a test. Every time we want to do a one-on-one session with a client or self muscle test, what we need or what our babies need or our partners need. You have to do it every single time because you need to know that the instrument is going to give you accurate answers. And then the answers themselves in the diagnostic test, concept here, we're talking about the algorithm, the logic on the back end that spits out the answer without you having to touch it, right? You just need to read that answer and know that that answer was correct, but you don't know until you calibrate it and validate it, which is what we teach you how to do. We teach you, okay, so you held this in your hand and you swayed backwards. Is the answer no? Maybe, maybe not. Let's try the kitty paws and do it again. Okay, this time you went forward. That was a false negative. You need to know the difference between a backward sway that's a true negative and a backward sway that's a false negative and is actually the most yin healing thing that you could possibly do. So, let me know in the chat. Have you heard of this false negative concept? Did you know that sometimes you can get a no in muscle testing, regardless if you're using the pendulum, the sway, whatever? You can get a no that's actually a yes. And there's a way to know for a fact that it was supposed to be a yes. There's a way to see for a fact it was a false negative. Okay. So instead of how do I know if my answers are accurate or if it's my own bias, because everybody thinks it's just about your own bias. Instead of asking, is it my own bias? Ask, how do I validate my muscle testing like it's a diagnostic tool to give me over 98% accuracy every single time? And some of this comes with practice. Some of the instrument validation is just the amount of reps that you put in. Okay. So when we say 98% accuracy, don't expect that the first time you ever try it. You're going to need to practice. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Chelsea really quickly. I'll go through hers sort of quick, but she's had massive results. She was one of my very first clients. She's also a very good friend of mine, but her face was bright red. She had put everything possible her dermatologist gave her on her skin, and it would not get better. It would actually get worse after she ate eggs, which she had never ever been sensitive to in her life. And we were able to do our sequence of things. One of the first ones was cleared interference field that she had on her arm from a bout of skin cancer. And right after we healed that interference field, we found lots of parasites, Bartonella in her brain. And after we cleared those things, her face cleared up like that. And now her skin is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. In addition to that, we healed a lot of her like deep-rooted trauma, and she is a little kiddo swim instructor. I kid you not, the day after we healed some major trauma that wasn't hers, was actually an old boss of hers put on her. The day after, she got a call from a world renowned swim instructor saying, "Hey, can you please come and talk at my convention?" And now she's being asked to speak all over the world. She is booked out for an entire year. You cannot get your kid to swim with her for an entire year. Her health has skyrocketed and she's like literally just like thriving. So, she is forever, forever grateful for this process. That's for sure.
And I just want to add, she volunteered this like testimonial. Kayleen did not have to like beg her and like offer her some sort of like discount if she would let her like share her story. She was over the moon and wanted everybody to know.
Yes, very much so. She has given me a lot of clients that are now on my wait list because I can't get to them right now.
Yes, a wait list. Doesn't that just sound like a dream? Okay, so this is Bridget, who may or may not still be here. I think she had to run at a certain point today, but this is Bridget, and this is how she got unstuck. And this is like a concept that we talk about a lot with our practitioners. Because it's the number one problem that we see is not like that they have something unexplainable that nobody's been able to figure out. Like, yes, but that's not the number one problem. The number one problem is that they feel very stuck. And they oftentimes like can't can't help themselves, you know? It's not like they don't want to help themselves, and we've all been there too. It's that there's just something like invisible, you know? So Bridget is a discernment framework certified practitioner herself, and she's also our community manager and our teaching assistant. She is brilliant. She's a registered nurse. She studied muscle testing for longer than Kayleen and myself combined, probably. And she's an expert on energetics as well as healing the nervous system. Like she came to us already knowing her stuff, okay? However, last year, before she started using esoteric herbs, she had never really felt like true motivation or like clarity or mental energy that would allow her to get her thought leadership out into the world. It's like she had all of this experience and expertise and just like was just like had so much to give, but when she would sit down to actually like get it out on paper into the world, it just felt like, as she said, dredging through mud. So after just the first 18 days of the first esoteric herbs that she took, she said that it was like her brain turned on for the first time ever. She spent 8 hours straight working on a project she'd been procrastinating for months. She was 100% sold on these herbs, which are a big part of what we do and what we teach our practitioners how to use because it's the best tool for getting people unstuck quickly. I mean, 18 days, come on, that's crazy. So, anyway, she's been rotating through different herb blends ever since. And it's finally addressing like chronic health issues that she just really hadn't had the energy to think about before. Like we're in Voxer all the time, and like all of us, it's like a very common thing. Like no matter how much you know, no matter how good you are at muscle testing, sometimes you're just like, wait a second, what about this thing that I was gonna heal that I forgot about? I all of a sudden like have the motivation and the memory and the drive to get it done after I started doing this other piece of it. You know what I mean? Like that's part of what we say or what it means when we say like it's an onion. It's not just that like some things don't show up until you address certain other things or there's like an order that things need to be addressed in. There's also a psychological piece of it which is where like the esoteric part of the esoteric herbs comes into play because it's kind of metaphysical and how they work. But there's a psychological piece of it that kind of prevents our own healing in a way. And it's not because we're not smart, it's not because we're not skilled. It's actually a psychological thing. It's a form of interference field, which is one of the things that also makes this methodology more advanced is that the first thing we do with any client, the first thing that our practitioners do with any client is we address the interference fields because the interference fields are what keeps them feeling like they're dredging through mud or also can just keep them stuck doing a good protocol that won't work, which is insane to think about. Let me know in the chat. How many of you have done or given a client a good protocol and it didn't work? And you're like, what the helly? That should have worked. Okay, so this is Raina, and I think I might have seen Raina come in. So hi, Raina, if you're still here. Also, we can take a bathroom break in a minute. I know we're at an hour now. We're scheduled for 2 hours, and we might go even longer if you guys want to party. But here in a minute, we'll take a break because I'm sure there's more than one person in here that needs a bathroom break. So this is how Raina overcame mom brain. Prior to becoming a mom, this is what she said. Prior to becoming a mom, I felt like I was a pretty motivated person who wasn't afraid to go after her dreams. I would have focused on a goal and then been excited to take action steps towards it. So relatable. Like who's like looked back on their life and been like, why am I not like this anymore? But over the last 8 years, I had become someone I didn't recognize. Then, a few weeks after taking the herbs, when I was able to look back and realize I had more energy and had been crossing things off of my list. There wasn't internal debate. I would just flow through the task from start to finish and then joyfully move on to the next. Uh, we don't realize that it's gone until it's gone, right? But I have been there more times than I can count, like realizing, like, oh, wow, I used to be able to do things effortlessly. Now I can look back at, or now I can look at a windowsill that used to have clutter and actually recognize that I have effortlessly kept that clean. In addition to moving through new projects, it's like a fog lifted. And I feel like I'm getting back to who I was as me before I was a mom. I'm in tears right now. Goosebumps. I'm in tears right now because I had lost hope and had surrendered to this being my new normal, and it isn't anymore. I could just hug and thank you and Kayleen. So we love you, Raina. Okay, and here's Joy.
Okay, Joy was another one of my clients. And when she first came to me, she did feel a little bit lost. Is a health coach, but she couldn't lose weight, and she really carried this like quiet shame and confusion around that. And her body just refused to respond to anything. I mean, she was doing anything and everything you could possibly do from a functional medicine perspective and her health coaching perspective, and no needle was moving at all. Um, when she did come to me, she originally wanted to learn how to muscle test for her own health. But she honestly she quit before she could even get started because it was just too much for her. She was way too overwhelmed. She was totally stuck, and she really needed some one-on-one help to get out of that stuck position before she could ever learn how to muscle test. So we began with treating some interference fields. She had quite a few. Sometimes you can have one, sometimes you can have 10. It just kind of depends. And we'll talk much more about what interference fields are, how to find them a little bit later. And we started using some esoteric herbal blends to really rewire some neural inflammation and some neural like misfiring in the body. Um, as well as uncovering some subconscious layers of childhood and ancestral trauma patterns. And now she can finally see things. She has recognized how her controlling and perfectionism has been blocking her healing. She was able to get out of her own way. She's learning how to muscle test now. She's doing really good at it. She is doing things that she could not in a million years even do, even though she taught them, like tracking macros and finally letting go of daily, I'm talking daily coffee enemas for a decade. She still does them, but not daily. And now her supplements are working. Things are moving the needle. Her body is responsive. She feels happy and good in her skin. So, I'm really proud of her because she's done a lot of really great work. But once we get rid of some of those things that are interfering with the body, your body knows exactly what to do. But it's those things that you can't test on a lab, but we can test in one of the first few sessions that we see the client with these like invisible blockages that just really turn on the body and allow you to do what it's supposed to do.
Yes. Okay. Um, Kayleen, what do you think about taking a bathroom break?
That's great because my pregnant belly would appreciate that.
Okay. All right, let's take a 5-minute bathroom break and we will see you guys in just a minute. All right. I'm going to, while we're waiting, um, looks like people are asking how much longer we'll go. Probably another hour. We're going to try to take Q&A at the end, and the bulk of the material is already behind us. So the second half will go faster. We may actually get through the material um, before the end of the hour. Okay, love it. All right, so just catching up on the chat. Yes, a lot of people were saying that they they can relate to the being stuck part of it as a client themselves or having clients that have felt stuck. Leanne says I had the same results with my brain turning back on as well. Oh, good. Good. Oh, yeah, I forgot that you were able to get herbs. We're having the hardest time getting herbs outside of the US right now, but I forgot that you were able to do like a US post office. So that's awesome. Tarjani says me. Caitlin, yes, me. Santa, yes, me. Oh, Santa, how are you doing? I haven't talked to you since our last session. There myself, I get it. It sucks. Yes, it does. Okay, good deal. All right, some people are going to have to catch the replay. Totally expected. Now, if you can stay until the end, we have a free gift. A free gift. It's just a gift. A gift would not be paid. We have a gift if you can stay until the end. But it is something that would normally have a price tag and you'll be getting it as a gift. It's our little, it's not little, it's huge index of different supplements and ways to address different issues. And they're all categorized by like body system or type of issue. Um, it's really helpful if you're a muscle tester because then you know what to muscle test for what, even if you're just doing like, more informal or like, more basic like forms of muscle testing. This index is going to be really huge for you. But even if you're not a muscle tester, um, even if you're not a muscle tester, this is going to be really helpful. Okay, I think we're back. We're good. Okay. Um, Let me see. I think, is this you,
I think
Kayleen?
it's me.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so notice how the results that we had with our clients that we just talked about before the break were like quick and easy. Like there weren't years of them doing really, really hard protocols that detox them like crazy and they're in pain all the time. And then, we kind of move the needle a little bit and then it goes back and then it goes forward. Like they really were, like they were quick and easy. You can go to the next slide. So most healers think that they just need one more certification or credential and then you'll finally know enough. Like who has been there? Who has like put it in the chat if you're like, "Oh yes, I just need to get this next certification and it's going to make my life easier." Okay? I have been there too, believe me. Especially coming not from the health world aside from just learning the stuff on my own because I love it. Um you feel kind of small and you're like, well, this next credential is going to make me feel like I know what the hell I'm doing. Okay, you can go to the next slide. But when you think that, you end up with more information to learn, but not necessarily being able to implement it effectively. And oftentimes you're just like adding too much to then what you're doing with your clients, but you're not really knowing like what's moving the needle. So the truth is, the coaching market has definitely shifted, and you don't just need a niche to stand out anymore. You need an edge. And the secret is not about more information, it's about specializing in something that positions you as the authority, right? So instead of which course or program will teach me the most for the least amount of cost, effort, and time, it becomes how can I get a 10x return on my investment within the next 12 months, helping other women remotely, right? You can talk about
Oh, it's me.
it.
Hang on. Okay. It's me, you guys. I went from like having about 6,000 followers for like 5 years, um, to about 100,000 followers within like a 6 month period. When I first started showing up on the internet, showing this new advanced form of muscle testing. Women who'd been muscle testing for years, even longer than me, started becoming my clients and students without hesitation. Like I had the personal experience of going through a chronic health issue and like self-healing it. And let us know in the chat who has been through this, who is a lifelong, self-healer. I had that personal experience of knowing this is what goes wrong in a woman's body over the years, and this is what works in a woman's body, and this is what does not work in a woman's body. And this is how to self muscle test your way through that specific experience, you know? Um, so people could see that what I was doing was different. I wasn't giving like one random tip about something over here. I wasn't talking about how to hack your testosterone as a man or like it was just very potent information that I was sharing. And I heard over and over again, I know how to muscle test, but what you're doing is different because I was able to showcase it in a way that landed for people. They would have never even seen my content if I didn't specialize in, healing women virtually because it just would have been too diluted, too all over the place. I wouldn't have been able to build and nurture an audience of people who would become my students and clients if it weren't for specializing in something. So after that, I gained like 100,000 followers. I had to raise my one-on-one prices and restructure my containers to support the amount of inquiries that I had, of people to become my clients, to also, prioritize making course content and to be a toddler mom. So my one-on-one containers have virtually no calls. We have calls if we need them, but it's all Voxer based, which if you don't know is a messaging app. So I do all of my one-on-one work through Voxer. I proxy muscle test my clients. For the ones who want to see it, I record it and put it into a G Drive and then share the G Drive link with links to the things that I muscle tested for them to do or take. Um, so even at 3.5K per month, other muscle other muscle testing practitioners pay this without hesitation because they have seen the results that I can get and they trust that I'm going to get them results because we're doing something that's so much more methodical and advanced than anything else that's out there. So like Kayleen, I might post one story announcing that I have an opening and it'll be booked within 24 hours. And this might be a 3-month package, a 6-month package, a one-off one-on-one call, whatever I feel inspired to do. I just put it out there and then people respond to it because this is something more potent than, you know, whatever influencer who's out there talking to the masses about, 20 million different things that you need to do to biohack your whatever. Like it's just different. Okay, and here's Brennan. She is one of our discernment framework practitioners as well. So she went from aspiring to sought after and well paid. And she was already an expert. She already had several credentials, including also like Bridget being a registered nurse, which obviously you don't have to be. I'm not a registered nurse. Kayleen's not a registered nurse, but already had credentials, lots of certifications. Brennan is like someone who just gets excited about learning, and me too. Like, it's not even about like, I need this credential. Brennan's also one of my private clients right now. And she was saying the other day, she's like, I want to do this other thing with like nervous system regulation, but it's not about like I need this credential. I actually just love to learn. So as you can imagine, for somebody who loves to learn, she has stacked the credentials, the knowledge, the toolkit. She knows what she's doing. But something happened to her after becoming a certified practitioner that most virtual practitioners only dream about. She started getting one-on-one clients coming to her asking for her to use these methods like mirror magic and muscle testing after seeing that she was one of our practitioners. Like if I post Brennan or like mention her on a Q&A call or an email, like back when I wasn't doing one-on-one or if I don't have any one-on-one openings. And I mentioned like, oh yeah, well, Brennan can do it. People just like run. They run, don't walk to her TMs. And she can make like I think it was a few months ago, she made 9K in 48 hours from people who booked her one-on-one. And these weren't even people that I sent to her. These were people that just have seen what she can do on her own. So it's not just that I send traffic to but practitioners. It's also that like they're able to build, something on their own independent of what we're teaching them because it works with all the other things that they already know how to do and it sets them apart from everybody else doing these things. Um, and my own students come back to me and tell me like how much they love their sessions with Brennan. Like I'll have a student who's learning how to do mirror magic, but is also like doing mirror magic sessions, like paying Brennan as a practitioner to do one-on-one sessions with them. And I think that also like speaks to the fact that like there is no scarcity in this. Practitioners need practitioners. Kayleen, Brennan, Bridget, and I, we all muscle test for each other. Like, and that's a big part of what our private practice is other practitioners. Like we rarely ever see people who aren't either aspiring to become a practitioner or who are already not practitioners. So I think the coolest part about Brennan's story is that she uses all of the other modalities she's learned and applies her own thought leadership. She has her own modality that she teaches. She developed her own modality, and Bridget did too. We didn't talk about this in Bridget's case study, but we want the thought leadership. We want our practitioners to develop their own methods. We want to be a part of what you guys are doing. This is not like do it our way or the highway. Give us credit for all of your life's work. Like no, not at all. Like our practitioners are brilliant and they have their own thought leadership. And adding what we teach can be the difference between their brilliance growing very slowly over, many, many years versus, okay, now I have like this very easy blueprint for how to take all of this brilliance and share it with the world without getting burnt out. Um, and this is Kayleen. Kayleen, do you want to do yours?
Yeah, that's fine. So, I'll just say this quickly. There's a lot of text in here for what really happened, but I had a client very, very early on who was coming to see me, but she was also seeing another muscle testing doctor in my area where I live. And she had been going to her for years, and this doctor is absolutely brilliant. I personally know her. She is brilliant. She knows so much about the science of the body and methylation and all these different things that she uses in her functional medicine practice. Um, and she does traditional kinesiology. And my client, she was like, "Well, I think you're doing muscle testing a little bit differently, so I also want to come see you." So she did. And we very quickly realized that some of the supplements that she was on that had been muscle tested by this kinesiology doctor, who again, I have to say I love her. She's so great. But we figured out that some of what she was giving her was actually putting her body in a really stressed state. And then one thing that she missed that she said, "No, I can't take that. My doctor said that I get a no to that," was actually the most healing thing that she could have put in her protocol. And when we put that back in her protocol, things started changing like that. Um, and she goes back to her kinesiologist and kind of says, like, "Well, I started adding this on there and telling her about working with me." And she was like, "I don't know what Kayleen is doing, but whatever muscle testing she's doing is like light years ahead of what we are doing." So, she kind of gave me this really nice testimonial that she didn't even have to do. She's brilliant, brilliant. But it just goes to show that you don't need more credentials. You just need to know how to do things in the right sequence, in the right way. That is going to get your clients really massive results. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. So notice how you become the authority when you learn the right sequence, when you specialize in one particular thing instead of trying to do a million different things the way that traditional muscle testing teaches it. Okay. So last thing, and we are very close to the end. Thank you guys for being here. Y'all have been such a fun group. Just hang in there because this one is actually like really important. Most healers think doing one-on-one leaves you feeling like you're constantly over delivering and undercharging. Can I get an amen in the chat? As projectors, Kayleen and I have been there. This was the number one thing. We're like, we can't. We cannot keep doing this if we are going to feel depleted and undercompensated. When you think that though, that one-on-one is going to be, depleting and not give you the right energy exchange, you will end up being overworked and underpaid, and no one likes to talk about it, but resenting your clients through no fault of their own or your own. It's just a fact of, reality. The truth is, you're doing a lot, but you're never doing enough. And it's because you're doing the wrong things. Like, I know that's harsh, but I think also you probably also know that, like deep down. It's like you're doing a lot, but the secret is you have colleagues and other high level women who are willing to pay you for results, not effort. And Kayleen and I have to check ourselves all the time because we're like, well, it's so easy for us. Like it's hard to charge what it's actually worth because we're thinking like, oh, I could do this in my sleep. I could get them a result like in 2 weeks, you know? And people come to us like, wow, we've put in 10 years with all these different practitioners and all of this wasted money, thousands and thousands of dollars of wasted money. There's no way you could fix anything within 2 weeks. And it's like, hold my beer, you know? But the fact of the matter is, you need to charge for your results, not your effort. And instead of asking, how do I find more clients, more availability in my schedule, or create a group program? Because that's everybody's go-to. It's like one-on-one is so tiring. I'm a projector. I need to just teach courses. You actually can gain capacity from one-on-one. I gain more capacity from one-on-one than I do from doing courses, from selling my courses. So it's like, yes, I'm putting in less effort, maybe, or at least I used to put in less effort with courses, and get a bigger return, but it's the exact opposite. One-on-one is so much fun for me now because it becomes a question of how do I minimize my energy expenditure while maximizing my clients' results consistently. And when you crack this code, like when you're able to minimize what energy you're putting in and maximize the results that they're getting, it gives you capacity. Like it makes you feel like you have unlocked the secret to life. And you literally want to check in with your clients. Like they don't have any crazy new developments for you. They're just like, hey, I actually feel great. No news is good news. I have clients where it's like the first month, I put them on a very minimalistic protocol. Within the next month, so much has changed that they're like, well, what do we do in this coaching container now? But then maybe 4 months go by and something new happens in their life, a new development outside of what they're taking. And now we have to readjust things? So it's like there's a lot of like mindset stuff around this. But at the end of the day, like you just have to understand what is possible when you're doing things the way that we do them in one-on-one. Oh, it's you again.
It's me. We'll be quick because we're running out of time and I want to get to the point where we talk about what you're going to learn in this container. But kind of like I think I've said this before, like I charge $11,000 for 6 months, and that was in 2025. That in 2026, after I have this baby, that is going up, and I have a wait list of people that want to work with me. And I healed myself. I got pregnant without IVF. Um, just I can't express to you enough how much this has changed my life in all areas of my health, my career, my relationships. Um, and it gets to be easy and it gets to be fun. So that's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna move on.
Yes. Okay, same. I won't belabor this, but I like same thing for me. I used to think this was last year. I used to think charging 16K for 8 months without any calls, just, messaging, just Voxer was like edgy. Okay. Let me know in the chat. Does this sound edgy to you? Like it was an edge for me. I now charge 20K for 6 months. Still just Voxer calls if we need them, but nobody ever needs them because you really don't need them. And this is with clients who are already certified in other muscle testing methodologies, who have credentials, who have done tons of self-healing themselves. Like these are, what the industry would call premium clients, which sounds so cringe because it's not like an item that you buy off the shelf, to be premium. But you get what I'm saying. Like these are women that like you would dream of them being your clients because you're like, yeah, I don't need to hold their hand. I don't need to babysit them. They already understand what I'm saying. And this is Jafia, who I think was or is still here. She's one of our certified practitioners. She's just doing this part-time. She's a full-time job, and it's a good one. She's an engineer, and she just recently got a promotion too, and she's absolutely killing it. And she probably has more clients part-time than a lot of full-time healers do because she knows what to do and she is bringing the heat. Like she is pure magic. She's another one of those practitioners where like all I have to do is mention her and people are like, "Wait, how do I work with her?" Okay, so notice how aligned it feels when you follow a process. Like you do not even need to have a full-time amount of energy to put into this for it to actually be aligned and give you a return on your investment as a healer.
Is this me?
I
Am
think
I
it might
breathing?
be.
Okay. So earlier we said that we were going to tell you exactly how to go from an aspiring healer to having a sought after referral fueled virtual private practice, which is what Elizabeth and I both have, and many of our practitioners, using advanced remote muscle testing. You guys ready? We get asked a lot, what exactly is advanced remote muscle testing? And for us, advanced remote muscle testing is the difference between just being a practitioner versus being a sought after healer who's built a loyal, high paying client base solely based off of word of mouth, testimonials, case studies, and referrals. Because when you can tap into your clinical intuition, which is pretty much what we teach, accurately and reliably through our discernment framework, you can give your clients quick, measurable health transformations that get them addicted to the secret sauce they know they haven't been able to find anywhere else.
Okay. So, what we're really talking about is having the self-trust and the authority that you deserve. And this isn't just for practitioners who have virtual private practices, where they do one-on-one. This is also, and the next iteration of what we're doing, it also includes practitioners who have in-person practices where you're already making judgment calls with your clinical intuition, but you're not necessarily wanting to learn how to muscle test your clients when they come in to see you, but you want the decisions you're already making to have more of a scientific scaffolding, a framework for your clinical intuition. Because We all know, whether, cognizantly or just subconsciously, we all know that the difference between a practitioner you're going to pay cash for and refer all your family and friends to versus the practitioner that you go to because they're in network with your insurance or because they're the cheapest is the clinical intuition. It's the fact that that practitioner is making decisions that you're like, whoa, how did they know that? How do they know things? And it's this. It's being able to do the discernment framework accurately and reliably. So, secret number one to the self trust and the authority that you deserve is learning how to guarantee you're going to have a steady flow of new clients who show up ready to trust and pay you just from word of mouth, which goes back to being able to take this more scientific approach to muscle testing, aka advanced self muscle testing, the asking the questions from the body, the calibrating and validating the body, the instrument, all of that. Secret number two is how to stop collecting credentials and just make you blend in more and start being sought out for being the most advanced. And secret number three is how to be highly compensated for your results instead of your time so you don't feel overworked and resentful. Okay, so how do you achieve it? We have a little Venn diagram. First, the advanced methodology, what I was just talking about with how do you ask questions from the body instead of just getting the answers from the body? How do you know how to interpret those answers so you're not getting false negatives? The second thing is specialization. Do you want to be working with women and do you want to be doing it either virtually or if you're doing it in person, do you want to be able to use this as a clinical form of intuition, essentially? So we have advanced methodology and specialization, aka helping women. Um, and you could go even further than that, helping women with a particular issue, helping women of a particular age. When you have those two pieces, just those two pieces, advanced self muscle testing and a specialty, you get differentiated within a saturated market. You don't have to, be doing a bunch of singing and dancing reels and, whatever. Like you actually already are differentiated just from these two pieces. But if you add the third piece of the process maps that we've already figured out that go along with, advanced self muscle testing, what to ask when, how to ask it, how to interpret it. What do you do on a 1.5 hour call for a client you may never see again? Versus what are you going to do in a 3 month or a 6 month container with that client? These are the process maps that we've already figured out. How do you test someone for food sensitivities? How do you test the perfect protocol? We already know and we can teach you. When you add that third piece to this, you get big results fast, which equals word of mouth, people posting you on their stories, sending people to you without you asking them, and you get to charge more for less time. And it's not about creating a course or a group program. It's about just knowing what the F you're doing, okay? And when you add all of this together, it equals growth, authority, and income.
Okay. So what makes us unique? So we have a one-of-a-kind method. Only Elizabeth and I teach it. You cannot learn this or even close to this anywhere else that goes beyond how to muscle test, and it teaches over 98% accuracy plus our process maps. You won't leave wondering how to find clients. You'll get access to our client pipeline process. And this is a process specifically designed to be used by women for women's bodies only. Okay. So this program is for you if you're done treating your aspirations as a healer or a coach like a hobby instead of a legacy. You know your purpose is to be a sought after results pathfinder for loyal, high paying clients guiding them to the breakthrough nobody else could yet. You're passionate about self-healing, biohacking, or holistic health, and you're ready for the PhD curriculum that you won't find anywhere else. And you've played around with self-muscle testing, but you feel like what you're doing, or what we're doing, is much more advanced, and you want to feel more accurate and more confident in your own skills. So, this program is not for you if you don't care about your client results and you're just here because this is the blueprint to making multi six figures as a remote healer. Okay, it's really not about that. Um, it's not for you if you don't see the value in investing in your continuing education that could actually make be available as a tax write-off for you. And it's not for you if you haven't yet realized that what got you to this point in your success as a healer or a nurse coach isn't going to be able to get you to the next level um, of fulfillment for your own career. Okay, so what's included? We're going to talk about this in quite a bit of detail, but if you haven't gotten to the point yet where you're like, what are you talking about? This is our certification program where we are teaching you everything that we know, everything that we've built. And in this program, we have live trainings, detailed demos, and Q&As, the exact step-by-step process for getting accurate answers that you can easily decode without relying on expensive lab tests or dangerous trial and error, which sometimes it really can be. We have client results process maps. So you'll learn each process map for getting bigger results in less time with less effort. So you're not overextending yourself while getting underpaid. And then we'll have practicum style hands-on learning, which is going to be the second half of the certification. So you'll be able to do remote muscle testing sessions with other students, and you'll also be shadowed by Elizabeth and myself, and or myself.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, so we have we have developed the best, easiest proven processes, and you're going to get all of these when you learn our method. I'm going to go through them in the 5 phases, Elizabeth, just for the sake of time.
You want me to just go on to the...
Yep, because it's in there.
Cool. Cool.
Okay, so in our certification program, we have 5 main phases, 5, not 10, that you are going to go through. If you are here as a practitioner, you want to be certified in discernment framework, you will go through all 5 phases. If you are here and you just want to learn how to self-muscle test on yourself, there is an option for that. You will just learn phase 1 and phase 2 because phases 3, 4, and 5 are really just geared towards our client process maps and how to work those one-on-one sessions. Okay. So in phase 1, it's how advanced remote muscle testing works. So it's what the research tells us about clinical intuition, using a response felt within your body to accurately determine the cause and the solution for your client's toughest dilemmas. Here we're learning the science behind how the thymus and the pineal gland connection controls specifically women's immune systems, nervous systems, and the endocrine system through what we call quantum coherence. And how the eyes, a part of the brain, and the visual field hold the keys to uncovering and healing emotional trauma, keeping your clients sick and always susceptible to environmental triggers. So phase 1 is really about the science and how this is evidence-based versus just some kind of like woo-woo thing that we just sort of made up. Elizabeth has poured her heart and soul into getting the science and the evidence in there so that you understand that this is not some sort of woo-woo program. This is backed by a lot of of evidence. Sorry.
And it's shareable. Like we
Yes,
have like actual resources we've compiled with like the literature.
exactly. So, okay, phase two is where you're actually going to learn to test with advanced self muscle testing. So, you're going to learn to ask questions and get answers through remote self muscle testing without relying on verbal or mental questions that leave you depleted and less accurate. So, this is kind of our bread and butter. This is how we do a majority of our muscle testing without an actual yes or no question. You're going to learn how to differentiate between a false no and a true no just by adding one extra little step. A lot of you have probably seen us do this with our kitty paws and our vagal ganglia. Um, but it will elevate your clinical intuition way beyond what it is now. You're going to learn how to muscle test using the most novel, most accurate O-ring method. You may have seen this before. Ours is a lot different. You will not find this anywhere on the internet, I guarantee you. Um, and you're going to learn our proprietary food sensitivity testing method that can pinpoint the exact form, combination, timing, and amount of foods that you need to eliminate right now, at least in this part of your healing journey. You're going to learn how to test your family through your own body by proxy, as well as testing during pregnancy for you and the baby. And you're going to learn how to apply all of our unique advanced methods for your one-on-one clients remotely over Zoom, if that's what you want to do. Okie doke. So, phase two is really like learning how to do it and how to implement it and how to get accurate results. Phase three, this is where if you're going to get certified, this is where you keep going. And it's our client results process map. So we have a few different things that we teach within phase three. The first one is your one-off virtual appointments. So we actually have a three-step process to identifying your client's main complaint, the underlying root cause of it, and the most effective protocol to give them a very measurable result quickly within a 1.5 hour call. So you could have a practice that just does these 1.5 hour calls, and you'll get some really tangible results just within that 1.5 hours. We'll also teach you how to uncover and release interference fields. These could be things like scars, piercings, tattoos, dental injuries. We'll teach you a whole slew of them and how to find them and what to do about them. Um, and finding these interference fields are really important because they always prevent even the best protocol from working. So your client can be on the absolute best protocol you could give them, but they will stall at some point because these interference fields are working to block their progress. Um, and then we'll utilize our best kept secret in esoteric healing, the Monastery of Herbs, which we all love. It cuts your investigation time in half and it speeds up your client results tenfold. We have clients who have used these forever. They love them. In fact, whenever we give our clients their first dose, they always want a second dose. They're like, what can I have next? What can I have next? They
That's
love
so
them.
And also, I just want to interject and say, like, we charge anywhere from like 700 to over 800 for one of these appointments, and they don't even always take an hour and a half. Like, and people like will still be talking about the results like a year later.
True. Okay. In our client result process maps, we also have long-term client transformations. This is like your 6-month client. So we'll conduct a detailed three-tiered scan of the entire body. We teach you how to do that. We teach at the acute level, we teach at the cellular wall or at the matrix level of the body and at the cellular wall level of the body. We can actually even go deeper than that, but we find a lot of our progress just comes on those three layers. And we'll be able to correlate that with things like heavy metals, toxins like glyphosate, viruses, bacteria, basically any pathogen in the body, we can find that in the body and then pinpoint exactly what is needed to to fix those pathogens, basically, and to get your client turning a corner. So you'll be able to pinpoint exactly which solutions will be the most effective and best suited for your specific client so that they trust your testing instead of just giving them something general. So you may have two clients come to you with mold, parasites, Lyme. Guarantee you they will not test for the same thing that will be the remedy for their problems. Okay, I've never seen the exact same protocol twice, and that Elizabeth has not either.
No, but we have seen long protocols that other practitioners that have given them that weren't going to cut it, that were either things they shouldn't take because of their bio-individuality or not the best thing for the situation, or it just wasn't even like what they should have been treating at that moment, even though it was an issue for them.
Yeah, and that's a good point. We'll teach you the priority of what the body needs to heal first. So again, you could all have the same five pathogens in the body, but you may have to heal them in a different order. So we teach you that. Yep, okay, got that. Okay. Then in the client result process maps, we have what we call the perfect protocol. This is kind of my baby. I love this. Um, it's where you stop recommending more supplements than your clients can actually take in a day and identify the exact leanest protocol that will give them the most impressive results. So we're showing you how to figure out what what supplements are going to fix their issues, and then we're teaching you how to put them in a protocol all together so they work synergistically together. And depending on your client, if you have a really sensitive client who you think may herx or may have a pretty big detox reaction, we can find the exact leanest protocol, or maybe even the only one thing, if they did nothing else, this one thing would be able to give them some really great results. We're able to figure that out within the perfect protocol. Um, at this point in our muscle testing, we bring in the O-ring method, and we use that as kind of the last part of the perfect protocol to figure out the synergy and figure out what is going to make you the absolute strongest in that protocol. So it's really cool. I guarantee you you've never seen this before.
No, except for my lives.
Yeah.
Go back and watch our last live on discernment framework, and you'll get to see this in real time, where it's like what I think is the right thing, it wasn't.
Yes, true. Okay, and then we have our freedom from food reactions. This helps you help your clients identify foods they're sensitive to more accurately than lab tests by finding the exact form, combination, timing, and amount they can actually tolerate in real time. So you're actually going to be able to give your clients more food than if you were to just give them a food sensitivity test. You'd probably have to take a lot more out. And this is more accurate. And we do have the science to prove that. Elizabeth has gosh, what did you do?
It's a paper, it's a review paper. It was
Yeah.
like at one point like 50 pages long, and then I tried to like parse it down a little bit, but it has probably 50 different peer-reviewed references um, that basically compare the validation data and science of food sensitivity testing in the lab to traditional elimination diets and to using this particular framework, the Freedom from Food Reactions framework, to guide an elimination diet. Because actually, most people don't know the elimination diet is the gold standard for diagnosing your food sensitivities. It's not the lab test. The lab test is not that good. I hate to say that, and I'm probably going to upset some people in here, but the lab test from somebody who's in diagnostics, research, and development, the lab test is not very good. And muscle testing, when done right, actually validates better than the lab test for food sensitivities. But the problem with the elimination diet, which is the gold standard, is that most people can't do it. It's hard to do. You don't understand what your results are. You end up cutting out too many foods, which means you can't do it for a very long time because it's just too difficult. But if you use this method, the Freedom from Food Reactions method, and there are probably people in the chat here using this method because we've already taught it separately. But if you use this method, then, like Kayleen said, you find out that you don't need to eliminate entire food groups. You can have cheese, but it's only this kind, and it's only this amount, and it's only this form, and you can't eat it with honey or, whatever. Like the amount, like you can just test what your clients are eating in a day and blow their freaking minds, and they will come back to you and pay you again and again and again for this skill, this information.
Yeah, so we can go to the next one.
Sorry, I get really passionate about this.
Okay. We know it's good. It's good. Okay, so phase four is trusting your answers. So here we have checkpoints for building self-efficacy that will confirm for you in real time that your bias has not entered the chat and hijacked your clinical intuition. This is like what you're all here for, is making sure that your answers are very accurate, and we have these built-in checkpoints for you to check yourself. Um, we'll have practicum style hands-on learning with other students, shadowing certified practitioners, and access to our library of recorded sessions that we have permission to share for training purposes. That's really important, those recorded sessions, because even though we have this framework of like how to MESL test, there's always an opportunity for you to go outside of the box and use your own thought leadership with some of this. So using those recorded sessions can give you some other ideas of like how you can implement this with your own thought leadership. Really, really helpful when you're learning how to muscle test. Um, and then we have group chat access to 6 different certified discernment framework practitioners so far, who've already built their businesses on highly accurate remote muscle testing with an overflow of clients. So you'll have access to those practitioners. You can ask them questions, and it's just for all of us to be in there to like sharing our stories and how we can continue to help our clients. Okay, phase 5. This is our ideal client pipeline process. So, years of experience in web-based private practice has given us a pipeline of loyal, high-paying clients that we'd otherwise have to turn away due to availability, right? We now have a system in place to route these clients straight into your schedule where they can receive the same level of results from all of our alumni. And it's how to open the floodgates to better testimonials that let you and prospective clients know that you aren't some fake internet guru. You are the real deal. So,
Okay, so when do we start? Well, pretty much like now. December is when we open the community, and this is December 1st. So we're going to open the community at some point in December within like, the next couple of weeks. And then at the beginning of January, we'll have a virtual winter mixer after things have kind of died down and we're ready to, really pursue our goals in the new year. And then class will actually also begin in January. So late in January 2026, class begins. And then January through June of all next year, we're going to have classes, live classes that will be recorded. So if you can't make them, that's fine. We're going to do them every 2 weeks. And we're also going to do one Q&A every month, which will also be recorded. And you can submit questions ahead of time. So anybody who's here from, my network, any of my students and clients, they already know we are always doing a Q&A. There's always Q&As going on. And you can just submit whatever question you have ahead of time, or show up live or catch the replay. We make sure everyone gets their questions answered. And then July through December of next year is going to be practicum study. So this is where you get to practice on each other. And in the process, get muscle tested as a client. And we're going to open this part up to non-certified discernment framework students as well. So even if you're not interested in doing the certification right now and you just want to learn, how to do this type of muscle testing, you still need practice, and practice is probably the most important factor. So we want to give you that opportunity to see other people being practiced on and also be practiced on yourself. Although you won't be giving, sessions on other people, you'll still get to be a part of this as, sort of like a test client, essentially. Um, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Okay, so we do have a gift that you're going to receive in email after this training, but we also have a fast action gift for the first three people that join either the certification or the non-certification track. Okay. There's only three spots, and it doesn't matter whether you're going all the way or you're just learning the discernment framework as, just a hobby muscle tester for your friends and family. Either way, we have three spots available for these fast action bonuses, okay? You could get or would get a breakthrough testing session. So this is a 45-minute session where we proxy muscle test you for the perfect esoteric herb blend. And everybody we see in our private practice gets muscle tested for esoteric herbs. And this is the main thing that gives people results the fastest, because a lot of interference fields can be addressed with these esoteric herbs because they have more of a metaphysical effect, and interference fields are a product of the nervous system. And if you don't heal the interference fields, nothing else will work. All of your protocols that you try, no matter how good they are, they just won't fully work because the uptake of your cells is broken, essentially. The nervous system's fried. So you'll get one of these breakthrough testing sessions included if you're one of the first three spots. And I promise we'll give you a link. We haven't forgotten, we'll put the link in here. You'll also get the link in an email afterwards. So your spot has not been taken yet. Okay. You'll get a one-on-one onboarding call with Kayleen and I that will be less, it's not going to be focused on like health or esoteric herbs. This is an onboarding call. So this will be focused on the questions you have about what you're going to learn, what your personal background is, and it's really going to set you up to get the most out of the certification. So for the first three spots, you actually get two one-on-one calls with us, one to focus on your health and one to focus on your success in learning this method. And you've already heard how much we normally charge for our one-on-one time. And then you'll also get the quantum light wand, which I actually have it right here. Everybody's obsessed with this thing, including me. It's one of the best tools for healing your own interference fields. So you'll get one of these bad boys for being one of the first three. Okay, so how do you become one of the first three? So just a little recap. If you become one of the first three spots, and we are only opening 10 spots total for the certification track, um, you get all three of these things, which are basically a $19,000 value combined. And,
You are not even normally.
oh, hang on. I think we need somebody to mute. If you guys could mute. Um, we will take questions at the end though. So also, if you're one of the first people, you get these three gifts. But regardless of whether you're one of the first three people, if you do the pay in full option, you actually get $1,000 credit off of your tuition. So we just have gifts on gifts on gifts. If you're one of the first three, you get all three of these gifts plus the $1,000 credit to join. So my question to you guys is, are you ready? I'm going to grab the link and I'm going to put it in the chat and I'm going to stop sharing. Oh my gosh, it's so dark in here. It's kind of a vibe though, right? It's like a campfire, a fireside chat. Okay, let's get caught up on the chat and I'm going to put the link in here for you guys. Hopefully it's not going to be hard to find. Here we go. I'm going to pop the link in here.
And I have everybody's name written down who is still here, who's going to get that solution matrix from us. I'm going to email it out tomorrow because I'm going to make a couple changes to it and you're going to want the changes. So you'll get it tomorrow.
Okay. Boop. And you'll also get this in your email as well. So the fast action bonuses, they're available for the first three people. The $1,000 credit is for pay in full. But I want to know now, what questions do you guys have, either about muscle testing or about the certification course itself? I can hang out for a while. Kayleen, I don't know, can you hang out for a while?
I can hang out for a couple minutes, but it's all of a sudden dumping snow and I have to get my daughter to the chiropractor. So we'll
Oh,
see. I have a couple minutes.
okay, well, okay. Even after you go do that, I can answer some questions. Um, and we can do all kinds of fun things in the Q&A, okay? For at least I'll give us at least like 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how many questions we have. Um, we could do a little demo if you have a specific question. Let's say maybe you have a client you don't know why you're stuck with them, or maybe you have your own health issue, you don't know why you're stuck. I am happy to stand up and do a little proxy testing demo so you guys can see this actually like in action. Kelly wants to know, I want to learn for myself, trying to heal chronic illness. I have purchased Obscure to Iconic and From Block to Breakthrough. I love you. I recognize you. This sounds amazing, but is there overlap? No, no, there's not any overlap. Obscure to Iconic is heavily mirror magic. And for this cohort, we're not going into mirror magic. We have way too much to teach to even like crack the shell on mirror magic. And from block to breakthrough,
Yes.
it's like just a specialized way of doing the neuroendocrine or the neuroimmune reset, which is included in the certification. So that's really the only overlap. But even in from block to breakthrough, it's just an abbreviated version of like one teeny tiny step of what you'll be learning in the certification. It's all going to be new information essentially. I volunteer as tribute. That's okay. Let's see. Does this give us the ability to order the herbs for our clients ourselves? Yes, absolutely. There is a step that you take outside of what we do because we're not actually like the monastery. We're not really affiliated with the monastery. I mean, they're like our best friends, but we can't get you set up with the monastery yourself. You just have to submit the form on your own. Um, and it's super easy. It's not a big deal at all. We'll show you how to do it and we'll teach you how to use the herbs with your clients and yourself. Um, and then you just submit it on your own. Okay, Christine, let us know in the chat. What do you want us to demo? What do you want us to muscle test? Um, Santa, I am interested and want to know about the herbs as I can't have them shipped. Yes, you're right. I remember that. How to go about that detail. You can work with clients within the US and have them drop shipped to your clients within the US, but you would not be able to get them to clients outside of the US. So if you get certified and you're working as a practitioner in our private practice, your clients will be within the US for this particular service because we just can't get them outside. So that is one way to work around this. If you're in another country and you can't get the herbs there, but you still want to do this process with your clients, you can basically use our clients Right now, we just have 6 certified practitioners, and none of us really have like full time availability. Um, so we like, and like Kayleen said, like we have wait lists. So that is one way to work around it is to only work with clients within the US because the monastery will actually just drop ship them to the client. You don't have to worry about that. Um, and also, you don't have to use the herbs. I mean, Kayleen's pregnant. She's not going to be using a bunch of herbs from the monastery, even if she muscle tests well for them. They have pregnancy herbs, that she's on, probably, right?
Right now. I'm drinking them.
And I've had clients that were pregnant, and I wasn't planning on using the monastery herbs with them, although they did end up taking the pregnancy herbs. There's like over 800 different blends, but even a friend slash client that I was slash colleague that I was muscle testing the other day, I started by testing the monastery catalog, but the priority for her was actually something else that wasn't a monastery herb. So we also teach this in a way that you're not just using the herbs, or if you have to work around using the herbs, you can work around using the herbs. And I know you can also do other metaphysical things kind of interchangeably with the herbs as well. So, like I've done mirror magic instead of the herbs, which works really well. But there are also other methods you can use, like some of the interference field methods that we use can replace the herbs. And you probably are already using some healing modalities for yourself and with your clients outside of this that could potentially replace the herb. So mainly what we do is help you figure out what is the priority and what are all the possible options. And the herbs tend to always be like number one in the queue, for like priority and like the best option. But you can definitely substitute things. I would love to see this in action since I've seen and experienced muscle testing with multiple practitioners. I have had 6 years of muscle testing where there ultimately seemed to be an emotional block, exactly, or something blocking the full healing. That's exactly what we specialize in, right? Like, I feel like Kayleen could definitely speak to this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in every client that I have muscle tested, there has always been an emotional block or an interference field or neural inflammation, which blocks part of your brain to a certain organ in the body. Um, really, there's no other way of finding it out besides our advanced self-muscle testing techniques. Um, and once you clear those, things start working. So yes, that is absolutely true. And yeah, if you know mirror magic, I would definitely do mirror magic alongside what you're doing, just to hit it at all angles. That would be awesome. But yes, there's always a block. Like I've never not seen a block. Um, how do you detox clients' energy out of your own body after testing them? So we have 3 different ways we calibrate our body before testing anybody. If you've been in any of Elizabeth's courses, what was one of them she just did? She just said the name of it. My brain is not working.
Is it from block to
Um,
breakthrough?
yep, she'll do it in Block to Breakthrough, but also the Neuro Access Reset or whatever that one was.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, well,
She'll do it in
that's
that too. But
yes.
anyways, when we recalibrate to muscle test somebody, that's also how you can clear your system after a muscle test to get you back, your nervous system back to baseline. So we do that.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's so fast too. It takes like 2 minutes.
Yeah, really fast.
Um,
Um, let's see,
I
where
have a
were
puzzling health issue, would love to be proxy tested. Okay, I'm gonna save that to the end and we'll see if we can. That's why I turned my light on. We'll see if we can do some proxy testing. Um,
trying to understand the difference between the two options.
oh,
Yeah.
the difference between the two options. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the two options are you're either going to have the full certification option That's your certified in discernment framework to work with your clients. So if you want to work with clients at all, you need to go the certification route. The other route is just for learning how to do this on your own for your own self and your family's self, basically. You will only go through the first two phases of the certification. So it's pretty much just 6 months. You'll go through 6 months of the education and then you'll stop. Whereas the rest of the cohort will move on to the rest of the certification where they're doing the practicum style learning and
Mhm.
learning how to do this on their clients, learning how to use the herbs, practicing with other students, shadowing other practitioners, getting shadowed by us. So it really just depends on if you want to work with clients, go the certification route. If you don't, go the self-healed route. What are we calling that?
Yeah, essentially, that's a good way to call it the self-healed route.
Yeah.
And also, if you do the non-certification route, you can be muscle tested as like one of the people that the certified practitioners are going to practice on, but you won't be able to practice on other people, like proxy testing. You'll just be able to basically like, you know, serve as like a test subject, I guess. I don't know. Um, but you'll get all the calls and all of your questions answered and all of the material. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
Elizabeth, I have to hop off. Are you good doing
okay.
the rest of these questions?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. This was
Thank
so
you
much
guys.
fun. Love
We'll
you.
see you later.
Okay. All right. Uh, since you know what I'm working on, hi Melinda. Since you know what I'm working on, how could I offer this to my clients? I teach people how to open their intuition and learn how to connect to their mediumship abilities. Not sure how this fits with that. It would really only fit in the context of how you need to heal your own vessel in order to receive that intuition. Because you can clean up the field and the nervous system every time you go to muscle test. Every single time just takes 2 minutes, clean it up, calibrate the system. My cat is like all up in my business. You can do that every single time you go to muscle test. But you can also get to see through doing that how effed up your system is and how you really need to be doing something um, more to heal it more comprehensively so that you're not having to clean up 50, million things, not 50 million things, but you're not having to clean up a bunch of little tiny fires throughout every day in order to get that intuition. Because once you clean up the body on a bigger scale, the intuition drops in more readily. You go to do the 3 steps and realize you don't need to do them. The nervous system and the biophoton field is already clean. So it just comes down to like, well, what kind of intuition are they want? Oh my gosh, this cat. What kind of muscle testing or sorry, what kind of intuition are they wanting to tap into, do they want to be the kind of person that just like gets these downloads out of thin air and trusts the accuracy of it all the time, or do they want to have to, set aside a specific time to sit down, clean the field, and muscle test their answers in order to trust them? It basically comes down to more trust more often, more intuition, more accurate intuition more often without having to like tend to the vessel, the field, the nervous system constantly throughout the day. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense, but you let me know if that makes sense. Will this certification and protocol fit pelvic issues for women specifically? Ooh, that's so good. Yes. Oh, I wish Kayleen was still here because she went through this herself. She went through this herself. Some of the esoteric herbs in the interference fields that were the most pivotal for her unexplained infertility and just healing in general. Parasites, like even outside of like female related issues, outside of like pelvic, like traditionally what you would think of as like a pelvic floor related issue, they were actually tied to the pelvic floor. And the monastery has herbs specifically for um, the pelvic floor. And there's a lot of interference fields specifically related to the pelvic floor that are preventing women from being able to heal their chronic sensitivities and symptoms and nervous system, fight or flight, freeze response. I'm preaching to the choir. I know that you know this because this is what you specialize in, but yes, it's part and parcel. Like you won't be able to separate out the pelvic floor work from, what we're doing because if it's an issue, what we're teaching will show you that it's an issue and how to address it. But it is something like really, really common that we work with. Um, because all women have issues here. They're just not like easily diagnosable because interference fields are essentially invisible. You're not going to go to your physical therapist and they're going to tell you about your interference field. Margie asked, I want to stay in the emotional trapped trauma field. Love it. Not so much herbs. Would a different program be better? So, yes and no, because the herbs are for trapped trauma and the like emotional trauma space. They're some of my favorite ways to heal this because um, they are very low effort, very fast turnaround, and very noticeable breakthroughs. They will have you crying all night long, um, only to give you like this insane breakthrough the next day. So that's the yes part of the answer, or the no part of the answer. This program would be a good fit. But the yes to, is there a better fit? The Mirror Magic certification that I do in my personal brand is all about emotional and trapped, trauma in the body. And I also teach about the esoteric herbs in that container. So this is going to be more focused on if you want to market to women who have the physical health manifestation of the symptoms of emotional trauma. And it's going to be limited to more of the physical things that we can do to impact it. Whereas with Mirror Magic, you can still market to like the physical symptoms of emotional trauma if that's like your, you know, the benefit that they're getting is that they're going to have symptom relief from addressing emotional trauma. But with Mirror Magic, you also just have a lot more leeway. You can cast a wider net. You can talk to the entrepreneurs who just want to get out of their own way. And you can do a lot of the more energetic stuff like Mirror Magic. Um, and release stuck trauma, nervous system work, herbs, all of it. All of that's in the Mirror Magic certification. Just get with me after this, and I can get you some information on that. Email me. I'm going to put my email in here. Email me at Elizabeth at discernmentco.com. Okay. Hang on. Did I skip some things? Okay, got a lot of people wanting proxy testing. Let me get through the other questions. Oh, I think I skipped somebody's. Do you all utilize homeopathy at all? It's so good for releasing stored emotions, even generationally. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not an expert in homeopathy, and neither is Kayleen, but she's definitely used homeopathy as a client, for her own self-healing more than I have in the past. But we view homeopathy as like there's a time and a place for it, just like everything else. So we don't specifically focus on it, but we do love homeopathy and we teach you how to muscle test it. What I've seen is that more times than not, um, the homeopathy will test well, but there will be an esoteric herb blend that actually tests as the priority for various reasons. For one client, it was going to support the kidneys um, and give the same give the same like healing effect. So it was like you were getting this kind of two for one deal with the esoteric herbs. It was going to heal as well as the homeopathy, but it was going to also support the kidneys, which was a big issue for her. So that kind of stuff will just teach you how to discern that essentially, like how to know when to utilize what. Also, just to give you guys a heads up, I have this like diffuser thing on this light in front of me, which is by the way doing nothing, but I'm very like bright. But if it falls and like crashes my laptop, like I'm sorry for the jump scare. Okay. Becky asks, will the certification course be in Mighty Networks where most of the other courses are? No, this will be in Kajabi. All of mine and Kayleen's courses for the Discernment Framework brand are in Kajabi, and all of my courses for my personal brand are in Mighty Networks. Good question. Okay, I think we do have time to proxy muscle test. Keep putting your questions in the chat box, but I think Christine was the first person to ask about proxy testing, causes slash blocking factors for autoimmune diseases for myself. Okay, cool. So I'm going to bring up the monastery catalog. You guys won't be able to see it because I want you to see me. And if I share my screen, my bubble will get too small. Um, but I'm just going to show you our process. I'm dressed super casually and I was experimenting with trying to like get rid of my bangs. So please don't be too distracted by my hair looking different than normal, okay? Um, so let's calibrate. I'm not going to teach as I go because that would we'd be here forever, okay? So just to give you an idea, this is just a demo, like strictly for demonstration purposes, okay? So here the light field is fine. We're going to get accurate answers in terms of the light field being cleaned up. Now I'm going to test under the ears, also good. So the nervous system, the vagal ganglia, the vagus nerve is not reactive. That will not prevent me from getting accurate answers. Here I'm testing neurogenic switching, which is a sort of a mild form of interference fields. And I'm only able to just breeze through these because I've done so much work, so much healing. But if you want to try these at home, you'll get the replay to this. Go back and try these at home and see if you get forward sways. If you get any backward sway at all, this is going to affect your accuracy of your self muscle testing. So the first thing I tested, this is my left hand pointer finger, middle knuckle, right thumb dug into the outside. Okay. So I get a forward sway. You see which way you sway. The second point was under the ears, behind the jaw. This is the vagal ganglia. That was a forward sway. You see what you get. Then the last check I did was multiple checks. Pinky finger to thumb, left hand. See which way you sway for all of these. I'm just going to run through them. Pinky finger to thumb, right hand. Fingertips together on either side of the sternum. Then we cross the hands over. Then we switch which one's on top. Then we do all the fingertips together still, belly button and between the eyebrows, and belly button and the tailbone. So those are the checks you need to do. If you're getting a backward sway on literally any of them, then your answers are not going to be as accurate as you think they are. So we're good to go. Now I'm just going to ask, can I test for Christine? Yes. So now I want to, what did she say? Autoimmune. Okay. Where's that thing at? All right. So now I want to know the priority for addressing her autoimmune sort of like blockages. So first I'm going to get my first sway because we do correlation testing. We don't ask yes or no. Okay. So Christine's autoimmune. So that's a backwards. So now we want to see what will reverse the sway with the priority modification because we don't want to know everything that will fix this. We want to know what's the best thing to do right now. And it might not be the end thing that is going to fix her autoimmune, blockage, like what's keeping her from healing that, but it will be the priority of what she needs to do right now. Okay? So 1 through 81, it's not viruses. 56 through 71. Okay, so this is a genetic predisposition, essentially. It's a gene that's being activated that you can silence that will help you with your autoimmune issues. Okay, so 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71. Okay. So this is really interesting, and we get this a lot with this particular section of the catalog. And people will go into a yin state and their answers won't be accurate. So it's like you have to calibrate the body at the beginning, but then also when you're doing client work, even when you're doing work for yourself, um, the the fact that you've landed on the thing that's going to help them throws their system into like a relaxed state and your answers become inaccurate. So we just fix it by tapping and toning, basically recalibrating the body. This is what I would have done for one of those three steps had I had gone backwards. There's actually three different ways that we calibrate. There's like a really fast, like thymus tap. There's a vagal ganglia massage. And then there's a slower, like 10 hertz pulse frequency tap. And the key is that you have to be making a sound with your mouth open because it's basically like sound frequency healing. You're turning the body into a sound frequency machine. Okay. So, uh, okay. So 56 through 63. It's in this top section. I knew it was because I could feel my body wanting to go forward. Okay, 56. 57. Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay, 57. That's right. Okay, so I'm just going to write this down. These are all kind of coded. So they're actually it's single blinded or double blinded, if you're working with clients. Um, but they're coded. So this one may have an effect on the liver just based off of how it's coded. I can kind of tell that. Um, but I can also And this is just using the catalog. You don't have to use the Monastery of Herbs at all. You don't have to use the esoteric herbs at all. But I like this for a starting point. And this is one of the things that we teach for the 1.5 hour appointments. Okay, so this one is correlated to an emotional block related to strict adherence to a living style or religion, I guess. So, are you kind of strict in like your habits or your personal ideals? Are you hard on yourself? Are you hard on others? Do you feel like you have to be an example to others? Let me know in the chat because that's what's coming up. Um, and also we got the priority for this, but now I want to know if there's something else that might be a priority. Actually, I don't even need to do that for this one. I was gonna say let's go through because we also like teach you about different test kits and you know which ones you might want to use, how to use them virtually, virtual test kits and physical test kits. We have a virtual test kit where you can test to the microscopic image of different pathogens, and you can also test to the image of different herbs and supplements. So you don't have to have a physical test kit. But sometimes what I'll do is once I get the answer from, you know, the Monastery of Herbs catalog, I'll then go in and see, well, is there something else that would work better? Because we don't care what it is. We just want to give them the best thing, right? But in this case, I wouldn't even know what to start with because this is so hyper specific to one like constellation of genes, and their emotional, like the emotional impact when that gene is basically being epigenetically regulated in this particular way. There's essentially what I'm saying is there's nothing else that will address this that I can think of other than something like a mirror magic session, potentially an interference field session, but probably not. Really, the esoteric herbs or mirror magic are the only two things I could think of for this. So just for the interest of, you know, finding out and being thorough, let's test these herbs against mirror magic. Okay, so now we're looking for the priority again, 57. It's these herbs, mirror magic. Yeah, it's these herbs. Or the light wand, no. Release stuck trauma, no. Okay, so yeah, the herbs are the way to go for this. Um, Now, when we do this, the way we teach our practitioners to do it and the way that we do it in our private practice, if this were a one-off session, is that we would correlate to either their main complaint in terms of like Christine knows it's autoimmunity, or their main complaint in terms of migraines, you know, symptom related. So we just kind of go with what the client is coming to us for. We're not trying to overturn every stone we can possibly find because in that first appointment, in especially if it's a one-off appointment, you need to give them the biggest result possible. That is the difference between them actually doing the things you recommend and actually coming back and being a good client and referring other clients. And that's a big part of the system that we teach is that you really just need to give them the result they're coming to get and not tell them to trust the process and 6 months later they're still herxing. You know what I mean? Um, okay. All right, probably hard on myself is the most resonating. Yeah. So autoimmune issues do tend to have an emotional blockage, and a lot of times there will be a familial component. The dad is usually like the like an emotional component related to the dad, not the relationship between you and your dad, but some genetic predisposition inherited from your dad, that was passed on due to like an emotional, spiritual, you know, kind of characteristic. Does that resonate? I would be really interested to know. I will say my mother grew up very strict religious. My dad definitely very hard on himself. Okay, so I think this is a thread for you to pull on. I can order these herbs for you if you want to email me at Elizabeth at Discernment Co. I can order these herbs for you. I can talk about, you know, how to get them to you, how to get me the payment, what they cost. Um, they're not cheap. They're usually $150 and you don't have to take them more than once and you only take them for 18 days. So it's not like you're going to be adding $150 worth of expenses to what you're already taking. And you're probably going to be able to eliminate some things long term. And I think that's like one of the biggest benefits for your clients is that they're not going to have to go back and order the same 20 supplements every day for the rest of their life. Nobody wants to do that. And we've all been there. We've all had to do that. What is Mirror Magic? May have missed that one, but I haven't heard it before. Okay. Yeah, I just kind of like breezed past that. Mirror Magic is something I teach in my personal brand. We can teach it over here and we will eventually. But right now it's just taught in my personal brand because we have too much other stuff to cover over here. It is my memory reconsolidation trauma healing modality, essentially. So I teach it in my courses. I teach you how to do it on yourself. It's kind of like self-administered. It's a combination between self-administered like EMDR and self-administered like family constellations. It's like taking the most effective research-backed things and like putting them on steroids and doing it in a way that you can do it on yourself because you're actually accessing the subconscious. It's not just through muscle testing. You actually do some eye movements that are a part of EMDR and some that aren't a part of EMDR to access the subconscious and find out patterns that you didn't even consciously know existed in your family, essentially. And you get to correlate them with physical issues that you're going through, correlate them with issues that you're having in this lifetime, in your life, and basically find all of the pieces to that puzzle and really resolve them, like actually resolve them. We have like crazy, crazy case studies for that too. And again, you can just email me at Elizabeth at discernmentco.com. And I can send you some literature on mirror magic. But in my self-paced courses, you learn how to do it on yourself and you get group coaching calls. But then I also have a certification program where you can learn to do it virtually as a practitioner on other people. How would you incorporate this if you also do bioresonance testing? I would do this instead. I would do this instead because what I've heard from clients is that when they get muscle tested by me or one of our practitioners, and then they go to their bioresonance testing practitioner, we got a better result for them faster, essentially. Bioresonance is like it's a good place to start. Like it's really helpful for you that you already do bioresonance testing. Like don't get me wrong, it's not like bad. Like this is an excellent place to start because you already know what you're doing in so many ways. But this is like the PhD version of that. If you have a client that wants bioresonance testing because they want you to actually test on their body in person, or if you even, do it virtually, but they're just more comfortable with something that has like a mechanical, like equipment component to it, then you might want to use bioresonance testing for that client. But if you have a client that's like, no, give me that secret sauce, like I just want the best result, then I would use what we're teaching. Um, what else? What else? Okay, Jessica says, darn it, I have to run. I hope to oh, you received the gift. You stayed till the end. We're just shooting the shit now. You do get the gift. You get the free gift. Um Okay. The light wand is the same used in the emotional memory detox, correct? Yes. Yeah. The light one that you get as being one of the first three people to join, which I don't know if that's still available because I don't have the page open where people are enrolling. But if that is still available, yes, it is the same thing that we use in the emotional memory field detox. So you'll get the instruction from that course along with the light wand. But we're also going to teach that in the certification. It's part of interference field clearing and testing, and you can proxy test with the light wand itself. If you get to me, can you proxy test me for mold for Lyme? I would love to. I would love to proxy test all day long. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write down everyone who wants proxy testing, and I will do this in various lives on the Discernment Framework Instagram. Okay. So just keep an eye out and watch for our lives. And when I get to yours, just DM me. Um, so. I'm going to use people's, if it's okay with you, let me know down here. I'll use your first name in the live and whatever complaint it is that you want me to test. So, Amanda, Lyme, brain slash mold. I can already tell you now you're probably going to want to address retroviruses. Heather, what do you want me to proxy test you for? Um, Santa, what would you like to be proxy tested for? Um, Christine, food sensitivities. Ooh, that one's going to be hard to do live because it really works best with a list of foods that you're currently eating. There's too many different foods for us to test. Um, oh, Amanda says, yep, I test positive for retroviruses. Well, you have to address retroviruses first. And when you do that, everything else will fall into place. Um, you will be addressing Lyme, brain, and mold by addressing retroviruses. Okay, Caitlin, migraine. But Amanda, I will muscle test you for specifically what to do with retroviruses because it's probably not just going to be like the same thing for everybody. Um, Angela. Man, I'm gonna have a lot of material. We're gonna be doing a lot of lives. Large fibroid. What is a UFE to stop the bleeding? But now, okay, bleeding from fibroid. Fibroid. Um, no physical explanations why. Oh, feel like it's emotional. Okay, fun. Not fun. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Um, but that'll be an interesting thing to test. Okay. Margie, weight gain. I can almost guarantee we're going to be dealing with viruses. Thought it was perimenopause. No, we are dealing with viruses, probably retroviruses, especially if all the lab work came back normal. Retroviruses will make you think you have perimenopause. Um, Amy, emotional blocks. Christine, I have plenty of questions. Okay, Santa, womb tension. Womb tension and pain. Yeah, we'll test that. Shayla, um, went to Mexico and came back with painful bumps on my tongue that keep coming back. And now my partner has them. Weird. Weird. I just saw a spooky, scary story time that this reminds me of. It was this woman in Mexico basically was turning into a frog because of a curse someone had put on her. Surely that's not it, but that is oddly specific, right? Um, Give me a fake name. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough lives to do this. I'm gonna be going live every day, but that could still be fun. Okay, dysregulation. Maybe Kayleen will do some of these proxies when healing. Oh. Oh, hey, Laura. I think I know which Laura you are. Or thymus tapping. Yep. I know what you're asking. I know what you're asking. We'll find the root cause as best we can. Okay. Christine. Yeah, let's do this one instead. Instead of the food sensitivities, because that's just going to be, I can do food sensitivity testing maybe for somebody in person. Maybe I'll do it for my boyfriend. Oh, I lost my place. Okay. Liver. Heather is liver. Biomagnetism. I don't know what that is. Oh, liver fungus. Yeah. Been there, done that. That's a common one. Surprisingly common one, I guess is what I should say. It's not like common, but it's more common than you would think. Retest enzymes every 6 months. After a year, they are finally in range. Good. But I just got my blood tested again and they're out of range again. Interesting. I will also be interested to see if we have viruses. I don't know if the labs are wrong or if there's still well, the labs are not very accurate or reliable for liver enzymes. Um, so they're just very like sensitive, depending on like what you've eaten, what you've taken, like that sort of thing. Um, okay, so I've got Becky for retroviruses, weight gain. All right. I'm I'm gonna be a busy girl. I don't know, I didn't see yours, Kelly. Sorry. Kelly for eye autoimmune. Yep, I'm familiar with what you have going on. Yep. Got it. Got it. Okay, yay! All right. I think I got everyone. If I miss you and you want to be proxy tested, shoot us a DM. Um, so that we can do this live. But I think I've gotten all the questions. I think I've gotten all the people who want to be proxy tested. If I missed you, shoot us a DM. If you think of questions later about either the certification or the non-certification track, we are available by DM. Ask us anything you want in the DMs. We will answer your questions, and you will get some follow-up emails here shortly after, the webinar, with, the link if you lose the link. And you can also probably just reply to those emails as well, with your questions. How do we know which live you're testing us? I will start the live or name the live with your name and just your first name and the issue. Uh, and for Shayla, I will use a fake name, but you'll know because bumps on the tongue are notable. Also, speak now or forever hold your peace if you don't want me to use your first name. But I mean, it's just a first name. That's it. And then you like once you see your live, just, pop in the comments or send me a DM, maybe share it to the DMs, share it to our DMs. And we can help you like sort out the next steps too. So like if you need herbs, we'll tell you like how to get the herbs. If it's not herbs, we'll explain, what it is. Can you save the live if we don't see it because we work? Yes, I will save. Good question. I will save all of these lives and they'll be under the Reels tab, I'm pretty sure, is where they go. So, yes, thank you guys for coming. Thanks for sticking with us. Like, wow, what a call. I can't believe like we went so long, but this has been like so much fun. I love you guys so much. Wow, what a good group of people. I look forward to seeing y'all around either in the certification or the non-certification track or just on Instagram or in my courses. Um, if you are interested in being a one-on-one client, reach out to either Kayleen or myself. And if we have availability, we'll see if it's a good fit. If we don't have availability, we'll match you with the practitioner of your dreams. And we are so grateful for you guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.